So recently, a bunch of unaired pilots found their way online, dating back to the 90s. What I want to do is look at these pilots and determine two things. One, did it have potential? And two, how different would popular culture be if this pilot was picked up for series? Today we're opening up the pilot vault and looking at the pilot for a show called Lies and the Wives We Tell Them To, a 2005 unaired pilot. This show had Ed Helms in it before he made it big, with the role of Andy Bernard in The Office and as Stu in The Hangover. It also has Kyle Chandler, someone who is in what might be one of my favourite shows of all time, Early Edition. That show is my comfort watch. Whenever I'm having a bad day, that's the one I go to. I saw him in something recently and he looks so old, it just made me sad. But he's young here. This sitcom was recorded around 5 years after Early Edition ended, and it focuses on 4 best friends who struggle with the politics of marriage and the lies they tell to keep the peace. NBC released a description of the show that reads, "Ever tell a lie to your spouse? 4 couples navigate their way through the politics of marriage, with lies that range from tiny to big, revealing how fabrications, when done right, may in fact further a healthy relationship. On the other hand, when done wrong, they can create plenty of drama. While the 4 guys who are best friends sometimes tell bigger lies, their wives haven't been entirely innocent either." So already I was worried that this was going to be like your typical boomer I hate my wife humour. Apart from this one description where NBC announced that they had commissioned it for a pilot, there's basically no sign of this show anywhere, which is why we're taking a look at the unaired pilot of it. We start with a wedding. Someone named Danny is getting married and his friends are all giving him a pep talk. They're all married and they know what he's going through. Ed Helms spends the first minute of the pilot in the background before he announces how he wants to help. You won't believe his character's name, Andy. Yeah, and he plays a role very similar to how he played Andy Bernard. I love how NBC must have seen him in this and went, just take this character and drop him into The Office. Andy starts freaking out, and it reminds me of what Pam said on The Office about how when one person freaks out, the other person becomes calmer. Only it doesn't help make Danny calmer, it just freaks him out more. We then cut to the next day, where we join one of the lads in his living room, and his wife can't remember the wedding because she drank too much. His wife's name is Carol, and she's short, isn't she? Sorry, I know that was a weird observation. I don't know why I made it, it just caught me off guard, okay? It's really strange how we didn't immediately cut to the guy who just got married. I figured they'd try and focus it more on him, but whatever, let's roll with it. Cooper and his wife come round and the guys chat in the living room, while the girls go to the kitchen. Kyle Chandler looks like a bad Tom Cruise deepfake in this sitcom. Weird, isn't it? The jokes aren't great. They crack some jokes about how Andy might divorce his wife, and they're not particularly funny. Nothing of note stands out. We then cut to a restaurant where the boys are meeting Andy for lunch. You can tell that this script was written by men. Some of the jokes in it, just believe me. I don't think I'll get away with playing clips from this one because NBC are really trying to hide it, and for good reason. And then, wait, is that Martine McCutcheon? Why is she in this? Right, so I just checked, and it's no. It's someone named Susan Lay, who has been in pretty much nothing else. She's playing Andy's girlfriend, who he's having an affair with. There's some jokes about how Andy is having an affair. Not great, once again. One of the big jokes in this restaurant scene is that they keep switching seats, so nobody gets the idea that Andy is having an affair. It's pretty dumb. Not much else to say about it, really. I would have put money on that being Martine McCutcheon, you know. She even sounds like her. So you may have noticed in that previous scene that Danny was absent from it. The guy who got married in the beginning. And this was... sorry for laughing. This was so they could have a scene where Danny reveals that he is gay. And in your typical 2005 way, they make jokes about him being gay for the rest of the show. Ha! Gay! It's really out of place, and I hate how they've just went, oh, being gay is funny, right? Let's make some jokes about this. No wonder NBC are trying their best to keep this pilot hidden. One of the men tells his wife Carol that Andy is having an affair, and she starts freaking out, saying she won't be able to keep it a secret from Andy's wife. And that is where the premise of the show comes in. that the men have to lie to their wives for the greater good. Yeah, I know. Cooper starts reading a magazine, which makes a difference because he's usually reading a newspaper whenever I see him. And he comments about how the magazine has a bunch of shirtless men in it. The studio audience come alive with laughter. Their stomachs hurting from laughing so hard at the idea of one of the men secretly being gay. How is that a running joke? The guy who's married to Carol, I don't know his name because he never say it and they expect us to learn their names from the one time they mutter them to each other. Why can't they shout it 5 times like they did in Imperfect Union? Anyway, that guy goes to Andy and tells him that Carol knows about the affair. So Ed Helms does his typical hangover comedy shouting. Carol goes to Andy's house and accidentally insults his mistress, who definitely isn't Martine McCutcheon, and she gives her advice on how to manipulate her husband into letting her renovate the kitchen, because, you know, lying is good apparently. I'm not a big fan of any of these characters really. I like the actors, but the characters are definitely one-dimensional sitcom characters. We then get a moment where they talk about each other's secrets without really saying them. It's always interesting when a TV show introduces a secret that is only ever hinted at. In Gavin and Stacey, it's what happened on the fishing retreat between Uncle Bryn and his nephew. It's a way of forcing a connection with characters without actually making them well-rounded characters. So it's like, you know, say they have a history, so these must be well written. I don't care about any of the secrets they threaten to reveal, and we'll never know them anyway because this was never commissioned for a series. So we're just wasting our time here. Carol's husband gets a call, and Carol tells him that she's not going to tell Andy's wife about the affair. It's difficult to talk about these people without knowing the names, but it's the pilot's fault for not teaching me them. The gang then reminisce about a girl from high school that they all had relations with, before Danny interjects, saying, I knew her brother. Get it? Because he's gay? Just, whoa, that's so funny. Just in case you didn't catch it the first 200 times he made jokes about it. Man, this is aged so poorly. It's mad how back in 2005, jokes about people's sexuality were being made so casually. I mean, my friends were all making these jokes at the time, but I was in primary school in 2005. I think it's normal for kids to be morons, especially back then, but these people are all grown-ups. These are the real men children, not the characters from that Kevin Smith sitcom. We have a moment in the end of the episode where Andy states that he can't leave his wife, so he's gonna carry on having an affair and not mention it to her, and they all decide that this is fine, so go and get drunk. I hate how easy they gloss over this affair, how they just go, what are you gonna do? Typical Andy. Stupid. And of course, with a sitcom, you always have to end on a huge punchline. So guess what they end it on? A joke about Danny being gay. Because haha, gay equals funny. Am I right? Please laugh. Play the laugh track here. With that in mind, where does this sitcom rank among the other unaired sitcoms? Well, it's not going to surprise you if I put this very low down. But where exactly? Well, I suppose this wasn't quite as terrible as Mr. Ed. At least it didn't ruin anything like that show did. And as much as I'd be up for placing this right by it due to the horrendous gay jokes, it didn't have a character that was truly poorly acted and written, like the news anchor in Separated at Worth. So I'm going to place it between that show and Queen Bee. Sure, the jokes aged more poorly than Milk, but if you look at Friends, a lot of the jokes there didn't age well, especially when it came to Chandler's dad, but that's still held in high regard by people, so yeah, that's my decision. It aged poorly, but it's not as bad as Separated at Worth. Right, do you want me to talk about more Unaired pilots? If so, leave a comment below telling me which one I should watch next. And subscribe, help us reach 4K. Right, I'm gonna let you go. Bye.